And
get
then
my attention.
We'll be all caught up. Yeah.
We'll figure out what was going. Okay, I show 6 o'clock, so
Yeah,
if we're good, Matt. I'm
Ready, yep.
Okay, Scott, all right, well,
Welcome. We'll call the Cottonwood Heights Architecture Review Commission meeting for October 26, 2023 to order. With us tonight, where's
The sign-in sheet. There you go.
Sorry. Okay.
we have Scott Chapman, Zara Hassanpour, Sarah Kovac, Scott Peters, and Mills Valentiner. And we will begin with, first of all, ask if anybody has any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest with any of the items on the agenda.
David, do I go to that dentist? I don't know.
Did we go to the dentist? As of right now, everyone confirmed, nodded, agreed that they do not. So we will go to item 2.0, or business items, and specifically 2.1 project CUP-23-012 review and potential action on a certificate of design compliance request by Van Leeuwen, thank you, by Van Leeuwen Dentistry for exterior changes to an existing building at 1845 East Fort Union Boulevard. We'll turn time over to staff for staff report.
Yeah, let me cover that for you. I wonder, Matt, could we minimize the? No, you're totally fine. It usually doesn't block anything, but just in case. Okay, so this project is first and foremost a conditional use permit that went to the Planning Commission. So that's why its file name starts with CUP, just as a little background. It's over on 1845 East Fort Union Boulevard. Got an aerial image pulled up here of the site, and I'll talk a little bit about the background of the building, but just to review again for the record, the applicant has requested a certificate of design compliance for some exterior changes to this existing building. Staff is recommending approval. We had one added condition that we recommended, and I'll cover that, but we do recommend approval. This is just an aerial image to kind of acquaint you with the vicinity. It's located right near the commercial strip mall that has Cancun Cafe, the state liquor store. It's a little bit hard to see on this screen over here. The blue outline's a little bit more dull, but you'll see the subject property highlighted there in blue. So this building, you may recall, was a Chase Bank branch for some time, but it's been vacant for a couple of years. And Van Leeuwen Dentistry was issued a conditional use permit by the Planning Commission, I believe back in September, I want to say, to operate a dental clinic in this existing building. So the use has been approved. A little bit about the applicant. We do have representation from the applicant side tonight, so I'll just also note if you have any questions for them, I'm sure they'd be happy to pop up and speak with us. But Van Leeuwen Dentistry has operated in our city for multiple decades. They are currently located farther up Fort Union off of Promenade, but they've just outgrown that space. So they have purchased this site, and to retrofit the space building into a dental clinic, they will be modifying the floor plan inside, obviously, and then also doing some updates to the exterior. So just to kind of clarify for anyone listening, maybe the property is in the Gateway Overlay District, which is why it goes through this process for approval. So I'm going to do a little bit of a summary here on the changes that they have proposed, and you'll see those represented in the materials in your packet as well. They proposed to refinish the existing red brick exterior with a lime wash treatment, to incorporate siding accents with hardy shaker shingles and some roofing accents with kind of a black standing seam roofing material. And I'll show pictures of all of this too coming up next. They've also proposed to remove that existing kind of bank drive-through queue and replace it with a rear building entrance and an additional window. And then also proposed to update some of the site landscaping with some new plantings in the front yard and a slightly adjusted layout to fit a few additional parking stalls that the planning commission approved. So this is just a conceptual rendering of what those proposed changes might look like with kind of that list we went through. And then here's that conceptual materials board. You'll see the lime wash finish there on the left, and then the black standing seam roofing. The top right corner is the existing gray asphalt shingled roofing that will stay for the primary roof. And then on the bottom right corner, the hardy shaker shingle siding, which is very hard to say. Then I just put together kind of the side-by-sides to compare. So on the left, you have the existing front of the building facing Fort Union. And then on the right-hand side, you have the elevation of those proposed changes. I will note, I also can pull up the staff report that has kind of a full page size of these renderings. I know it's hard to see any of the notes on this view, but just to give you the side-by-side, we wanted to run through these. And then
So can you describe what they're doing? It's hard to tell where the different materials are going.
yeah, so I'll do my best, and then of course we can ask the applicant to clarify. But we would anticipate seeing that lime wash treatment on that red brick. It looks a little bit different on our screens, but we can just maybe recall that this is sort of the swatching for that, and this is the rendering of the finished product. So they'd be doing the lime wash on that brick. It looks like they would be removing the kind of clock tower.
Cupola.
Yes, I'm like, you guys probably know better how to describe it than me, removing that aspect and then adding some different window trim. I think that's that shingle material. It looks like updated window frames. And I think we'll see on the coming slides more standing seam roofing.
Is that a new roof? It's much steeper.
I don't believe they're planning to change the primary roof, but
Okay.
yeah, it's probably just the angle of the rendering, I think. Looking at the rear of the building, you see where that bank drive-through queue is currently. They're proposing to remove that and replace it with just doors for patients to enter from the parking area. We see the area here on this accent roof kind of overhang that would be changed to the hardy shaker shingle. And they'd be adding a bit of signage here for the business. And then over here, we see where they'd be adding that additional window as well.
All right, it looks like there's a existing light there.
Yeah, we could ask for their clarification perhaps on their proposal with the lighting. When we discussed it with Planning Commission, I believe they were planning to take out maybe one parking lot light, but what's there is considered, you know, kind of vested. It most likely doesn't meet our current lighting ordinance, but it is existing construction. Here we have, I believe, the west side of the building. So again, we see some of that shingle material incorporated, the whitewash or the lime wash treatment there. And then on the east side of the building, you can see a little bit more of that standing seam roofing incorporated on that kind of awning, and then some business signage and more of the shingling here. So hopefully I covered that adequately.
So is the standing seam roofing only going over those overhangs?
I believe it's just being used as that accent material. Again, we can ask the applicant to confirm, but their narrative did say that the primary roofing would remain the gray asphalt shingle.
And it looks like they're painting the handrail.
Yeah, it looks like they're updating that to match the new window, you know, grids and framing to that black color. And then obviously removing the existing shutters on those windows. And then also wanted to pull up the landscaping plan. This is one I can pull up in the full size as well. If you want to look at any of the species, it's also included in your packets. But we see on the left, the existing lawn that's in a bit of rough repair, maybe with the condition, and they're proposing to incorporate, by my assessment, some low water species. The species list is included. You'll see here on the east side where those 2 additional parking stalls were approved, just to better accommodate the ebb and flow of their practice. And looks like some landscaping back here.
What's the ordinance on parking in the front yard?
Yeah, they met all the requirements for the parking plan, the parking layout. I can pull up the exact language if you'd like.
No, I'm just kind of general terms. I mean.
Yeah, something to the effect that if your headlights are facing a public street, there has to be a buffer or some sort of barrier where this is perpendicular that,
But you can park in the front yard.
yeah.
Okay,
So are they changing the parking lot anywhere?
Just in this area, so you can see the two stalls cutting in that little notch. And then they're removing, I think, this paved kind of pork chop. Since
and
the,
adding
They're
another
adding another
stall.
one to the left, yeah,
oh, yep,
back and the front.
yep, there you go. So just to have, I think with the drive-through being removed, they didn't want to keep that curbing. And we had the layout be reviewed by the city engineer. He had a few comments that they'll need to address in their building permit submittal, just related to circulation signage and making sure that the one required ADA stall is like properly striped. But
So are they adding curb and or curbing on that top left right there?
right there, we can ask them if they are. I don't see it called out on this plan, but it's also possible that it's cropped out. So if you want to bring them up at any point. And then I believe we just move into a little bit of analysis here. The full analysis is in the packet, but in lieu of kind of reading it word for word, we are recommending approval. We find that it meets all of the requirements for the relevant chapters of the design guidelines. The one recommendation we've made is just that the applicant be required to repair the broken portions of the perimeter fencing. There's a white vinyl fencing out there, and on one side of it, there were some broken portions that we feel should be replaced to fully comply with the maintenance and modification requirements for our design guidelines. And we've just included that recommendation there. So again, happy to answer questions as I'm able, or if you want to bring them up to ask for feedback as well.
Can you go to a photo of the existing site?
Yes, I can pull up the actual map, but does that give you enough of what you want to see?
Yep. Okay. Great. Any questions from the committee right now? Like to invite the applicant, if they would like to add anything, to come up and make any comments that they would like.
You can grab a seat right there.
Safe for you.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys.
You'll just state your name for the record.
Yep, I'm Adam Van Leeuwen, Van Leeuwen Dental. Michael Van Leeuwen's back there, been in Cottonwood Heights forever, under Brighton, everything, so. Yeah, to answer a couple of the questions. That you asked, yeah, we were gonna take out that island so that it's easier to kind of turn out of the parking lot there. The awning question on the east side, there's there's actually stairs access to the basement. So that awning serves a functional purpose to, you know, divert water, so you don't get ice on the stairs, stuff like that. So kind of beat up. I think somebody backed into the railing, so it's kind of dented in and whatnot. So we're just gonna replace that, update that. And then as far as the periphery goes, what was the question on the curving in the northwest corner?
Let me see if I can get my cursor over it. Is this what you were referring to, Chair? Do
Yeah, it looks like it pops out right there.
you know if you're gonna be doing any?
I think we're gonna be
curves
changing
there?
much of it. I know there's drainage kind of issue maybe right there that we were gonna improve upon. There's that. You know, when you go to the bank, you feed your little,
Yeah.
so the pavement kind of is convex there. And then when we move the handicap stall towards the back, it has to have a 2% grade. So we're gonna do some work. As far as you asked about the parking lot, we are gonna do some parking lot work, but just to improve the grade of it so that it meets those handicap requirements, and then
Are you gonna
also
repave it?
part of it. At least part of it back there. And then I've been thinking You probably have to put a drain in that back corner to get better drainage, so the neighbors.
So this is all one-way traffic lane.
Yes, I believe it is. The arrows are, oh, sorry, didn't mean to scoot us off of there. The arrows are a little bit faded, but you can see the ingress here wrapping around and then the egress there. So city engineer again put it just a condition on his assessment when we went to planning commission to add some signage that just kind of made that clear as you're turning in that this is entrance only and exit. So that should help with that flow.
As far as the broken fence, it separates the parking for the liquor store and those other things. It's actually been since we purchased the property, that's been kicked down and broken. We're over there looking at it today. We'll probably be talking with the owners of the area over there to see if we can alleviate the problem from happening in the future.
Yes, definitely hope that you don't have ongoing issues with that vandalism.
But it should be an easy fix.
Anybody have any comments or recommendations? I have some on the landscape plan.
Do you want me to pull up a full version of that?
No, I think we're okay.
Okay, let me know if you need it zoomed in at all.
All right, just a couple things. One, I would like to see where, I'm gonna just walk out so I can get to it. But I'd like to see, especially because you need retention, is extend a curve out here and tie it around. So that becomes a planter area. And then plant a tree in there. And then I would like to add 3 trees in the front, one in each of those, one right there, and then the 2 others. And then I would like to make sure that they have at least 50% coverage with shrubs. It looks to me like they don't meet that
In the 50% coverage in the beds.
in the beds.
Okay,
And then also add planting in the parking area where they're removing the grass, between the street and the sidewalk,
oh, okay. Here,
all the way on both sides. And then also in that little sliver on the left, right there.
and we do have, just at the staff level, when this goes to building permit, we would require some plantings in there just by the city ordinance, can't have it all be freescaped, but.
So would you be okay if the requirement in the park strip at least is just comply with city standards for park strip landscaping finish? Yeah.
That works. Any other questions or comments?
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah,
So the park stripping and your street trees, right? The trees you're adding is on their property rather than in the park strip.
Yeah, that's a pretty narrow
Yeah.
park strip, and
that one is more narrow than is required to have trees by the city ordinance. So I do think it's consistent with our ordinance to just have them on the private property instead, so they have
Better,
a better shot of.
And I don't obstruct, like, trying to pull out.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is I'm trying to respect the view triangles, so.
Definitely need to make sure we don't, because it's such a busy street. I went and
Yeah.
rode through the site the other day and it is nice having the in and out because it just makes it a little bit easier, but if turning on the Fort Union is,
And I also don't want to obstruct the view of the front of the building too.
Right.
So that's why I think in just those 3, if they'd add 4 trees, I think it'd make a big difference for the site.
I think it would be good to maybe, if that's something recorded or included in one of your motions, to just make a note that they should go there as possible with the clear view
Absolutely.
ordinance. We have some standards for,
They should have a visibility triangle that. they have to-
for landscaping near points of ingress egress. So essentially including that in a motion, I think would be helpful, and certainly if that's not feasible with the clear view, we can look at other places to maybe put them on site.
Do you have a aerial view that shows more of the east boundary, the west boundary?
I can pull one up if the commission would like to
I just
see it.
wanted to point out that there's kind of the business to the west has a raised area with parking, and it's got shrubs along that back, that equal all the way to the back right now.
Let's get close. You wanted to see the west side, is that?
That west
Okay.
side, all along there, it's raised from the level of our parking.
Okay,
Yeah, they have 2 levels. There were. Sweet stumps like in between.
I just feel like it's important to get some trees in the front to provide shade along the sidewalk. In the summer, having that shade is really valuable. And it also to just soften the streetscape.
yeah, we think as staff, just kind of speaking broadly, it's a great project to kind of rehab a space that's just been vacant, and we're, hoping it'll work out for them and that we get to have them in our community.
Can we go back to their site plan?
Yes, certainly. I mean, it'll just have me stop sharing and then reshare, so just give me one.
It's too bad you can't incorporate the drive-through in the density.
I know, right? Awesome. It's 1 arm.
That's the future.
Oh, it's kind of a terrible.
Robotics.
One parts like a car wash.
Sorry,
Stop the
have-
car.
Is this an okay?
Can't say it won't
Yeah.
ever happen.
You have to have a convertible.
So when we
Yeah.
added those 2 parkings, right, when you enter the parking lot,
Yes.
they got rid of that sidewalk that accesses the main entry. So anyone parks in those stalls have to go all the way around and enter the building from the sidewalk.
Sure, and I will say, I think they anticipate most people entering through the rear entrance. We required them to keep the front entrance because that's called out in a few different plans and in our code to have a street facing entrance. But I believe they anticipate most clientele will come in through that. Okay. I don't know if that alleviates your concern, but
No, I mean, as long as that's clear, because
Yeah,
otherwise people will walk through.
through the landscaping,
yeah, they will too.
yes,
The
that's,
sidewalk
do that.
before, I think that was the bank's ADA route. You can see the striping across the parking lot there.
yeah, that's a good point to bring up. certainly.
So it is important to have those stalls.
Yeah, when they applied, they felt like for the demand their business has, just important to have those, especially because there's not street parking available on Port Union. Wanting to make sure it, I think, doesn't become an issue with neighboring businesses. We've definitely seen on some past projects issues with one business parking in another business's lot and the problems that creates, so.
Okay. There's no other comments. Would someone like to make a motion?
Well, I would make a motion to approve, and you explain.
Explain what you want.
Let me ask, does the record already have what I explained?
I took notes. If I can read them, then you can just
Yeah,
reference
that'd be
that,
good.
as long as you agree with the notes I took. So in the northwest corner, in that little,
Go back.
the little wedge shaped area in the northwest corner there, the little triangle. The comment was extend the curb into that area and make it a raised planter with a tree planted within it.
Let me clarify.
Okay.
I don't think it needs to be a raised planter.
Okay.
Matter of fact, I think it would be better if it had a break in the curb that they could let water into and it could
Stormwater.
harvest. Yeah, water harvesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's one that I think is possible with our low impact development stormwater code.
So curbed planter area with drainage, with a tree planted within it. Add 3 trees in the front in the small landscaping bed areas around the driveway access points, compliant with all clear view requirements at intersections and driveways.
And I would add, if you can't get the 3 trees in because of the landscape or the visibility triangle, consider maybe adding one tree
We'll move it,
right there.
Okay, over in
just
the
move it over,
Yeah.
corner.
Okay.
yeah.
Make sure there's at least 50% planting coverage within the planter areas on the landscaping plan.
And let me specify, that would be shrub and ground coverage,
Shrub, ground cover,
not including tree canopies.
So at the ground plane.
not including tree canopies, okay? And then add planting in the park strip area compliant with city park strip landscaping requirements. And whatever is feasible in terms of planting and landscaping in that small western landscape sliver.
That's it.
Okay, we've made those clarifying notes, so now I think you can just motion by
Before you
reference.
make a motion, I will just
Oh,
mention that the model motion we put together just includes that recommended condition of repairing the fencing. So if you read this verbatim, it would include that. If you don't want to include that, you can make that clear in your motion. Don't want to sneak anything in.
So we're doing it again. I move to issue a certificate of design compliance for project CUP 23012, subject to all recommended conditions of approval outlined in the staff report dated October 26, 2023, and the added comments about landscaping as recorded, as well as the the maintenance, is that the fence repair to follow the maintenance and
I think it's modification.
making modification act.
thank you.
I think that's good.
So we have a motion. We have a second.
I'll second it.
We have a motion.
Three
We have 3 seconds. Great. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion was passed unanimously. Thank you very much. Great to have you here.
We'll just coordinate with your team on kind of next steps. I'll be sending you an approval letter and then we can coordinate on you guys submitting your building permit plans and answer any questions you guys might have. We'll also get you moving on your business license if you're ready for that.
Okay.
So right now you're about out of drive.
Yeah, so you know where.
I'll come around and chat with you. Why don't we use the lobby?
Yeah, I'm just down.
Okay,
in that-
carry on.
been in that building for 40 years.
So we need a motion to approve
It will be.
the minutes, item 3.0, to approve the minutes
Run out, stop working.
on the consent agenda as described on the agenda.
And we've outgrown the space, so that'll be great.
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
Been here
Congratulations,
forever.
yeah. Did you own that?
Hey, guys,
building?
can we-
You rented it?
We've got one more item to finish up if we can get to that.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry.
Thank you. Nice to meet
See
you.
ya.
So the procedure in the agenda, just to summarize, you're approving the minutes ahead of time for tonight's meeting. We'll send that transcription out when you have them, and if there are comments or changes, you send those back and we just do that until they're good.
Motion that? Or not?
Approved. I don't know.
So basically what I need
Motion
is
to
a
approve the
motion
minutes.
as described.
As described in the agenda.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm still learning.
That's all good. That's all good. We all have been there. So great. It looks like it was unanimously approved. Our next meeting is scheduled for November 16th, pending any action items. With that, I think all we need is a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. We have a motion. We have a second.
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Thinking that one.
Aye.